What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of DevTalks. It's your host, Travian. Talk about everything technology and engineering-wise. And this episode will be about the new PS5. PS5 Pro, PlayStation, and Sony have came out with a new updated console version. Now, first thoughts, I don't think it was too much needed, but we're going to just dive into this video. We're going to go over the reveal and then go over the technical aspect of it to see if it was really worth coming out with and just getting more information around that. Without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out with the algorithm. I really appreciate it, and don't forget to share. So, first things first the stand being sold separately is kind of crazy. I don't know. So, it looks the same practically. Let's just go back into the end scene so we can see. The only difference is, just looking out of here, the stand is different. And then we also have the design. So the stand is different down here, and then we also have the design right here with the extra airways going through, and probably some fans will exhaust through that. That's the immediate looking differences I see from this. Besides that, we're going to look at something more of a technical aspect, as I said, because this was just a little sneak peek that Sony gave us, but they also provided us with full technical presentation with we're about to dive in, and this is what I really wanted to get into, because looking at that preview right there, we do not know what to expect, and it just looks a little bit slightly different. It doesn't seem too much bigger. What is new in this? And is that trailer really going to give you hype, especially if you already own a PS5? Probably not at all. So yeah, we need this. We need more context. We need more information. And what's better than reading it is watching them actually describe what's going on. So,
I'm Mark Cerny. I'm excited to be here to talk about the newest addition to our console lineup, PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming technology. But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional gaming experience. When PS5 debuted in 2020, it brought a lot to the table. 8 Zen 2 CPU cores form the brains of PlayStation 5 and enable high-speed complex gameplay, with character counts reaching into the hundreds and frame rates that can be as high as 120 frames a second. PS5 has a powerful RDNA 2 GPU.
see, off of that alone, the trailer that we got for the PS5 Pro, it showed it goes up to 120 frames per second. And he's talking about the old one in this now. So if they both do the same thing so far, what are we getting at? What are we getting at? Like, I can't wait to see how much this is going to cost. I try to keep this blind for as long as possible. So this is my first time looking at this, by the way. But we'll continue.
GPU, which can render anything from intricate details to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore. Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of water or glass, and the realism that comes from real-time global illumination. A custom SSD can load data at breathtaking speed, resulting in ultra-fast transitions between game worlds and data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
You okay? I'm working on it!
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games. With audio so real, you may not even need to see the enemies to know exactly where they are. Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing inside of the game. It's wonderful to see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second, mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved.
One thing that I definitely have never knew, there was a graphics mode. I've had a PS5 for several years now, gone through a few controllers, and never knew there was a performance mode. That's heartbreaking right there. They could have saved me so many one-on-one matches and ranked matches before if I knew about that. And that's insane. I never knew.
When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time. Removing that.
And that would make sense. That makes sense. Who wants to lose this so people don't lose? They don't care about that. How can we get better performance with the same graphics? Does the Pro do that? Yes or no?
Decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro. We want to give players the graphics that the game creators aspire to, at the high frame rates that players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3. First, we made the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster. Second, we made major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5. And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning and an AI library called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short. PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail, which boosts the effective resolution of the games. Game creators are adding PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles, and with the Big 3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has huge amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second.
So, I'm actually not gonna lie. I was about to say, as far as graphics and frame rate goes, it would not be, it's, and I still think this way. It's not, I don't probably think this way, but for me, I don't think it will be an, if you already have a console and you're playing games like The Last of Us, I don't think it's that important to upgrade to a Pro. But one thing I can say, this is fucking beautiful. These graphics right here that it just showed us, in my opinion, it looks amazing, actually. And like, gosh dang. Oh, yeah. It looks amazing to play that. If you don't have a console already, maybe you should think about the Pro, but let's just figure out more stuff before I fully decide on a decision or not. If you should cop it or no.
Let's compare this to the fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier.
Don't stop! We gotta lose.
This goal of delivering almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rates has been achieved for a broad set of titles, including Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. We can see that PS5 Pro is close to doubling the power of PlayStation 5. Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second. What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5. For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet & Clank. Distant details are much clearer. And here we can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher resolution throughout the scene, including the trees and procedural cars. So overall, some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay. This is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate. But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra graphics power is allowing for improvements to lighting and visual effects, as well as to the hair and the skin in cinematics.
Open up, guys. Jorv's orders.
Good enough for me.
Ray tracing is finding broad usage as well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference, allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their targeted 60 frames per second. That boost in ray tracing is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy, allowing not only for better reflections and a greater variety of reflective surfaces, but also for further realism in the casting of shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap this up by giving you a quick look at a number of games running on the new console.
Alright, so we probably don't have to look at every little thing in here due to time and stuff, but I love these games. I'm just saying that real quick. The one thing I want to look at real quick is the actual cost of the PS5 Pro, if they will show it. I thought I seen it coming up. Yep. So here we go. So $700 almost, and it comes out in November. Now, I believe that, and I'm going to assume this is for digital only version. So it costs $700. Let me just make sure. I think it costs $500 for the PS5 digital. Let me just double check real quick. PS5 price, digital edition. Yeah, the digital edition costs about $450. So when I'm looking at this video now, that after they showed us everything that they could about what's new in here, all the updates and the performance things, is it worth these new additions? Mind you, the PS5 has been out for a little while now, and if you don't have one, I think this would be a good pickup, because you're just going to be able to play games at a better system until the PS6 comes out, which I already hear rumors about it coming out. And most likely the PS6 will include a lot of this stuff that the PS5 Pro includes. It might be better by the time it comes out. Who knows when it'll come out? Maybe let's give it 2 years. It's going to be better than the PS5 Pro at that point. And you have to really value how much it is really worth an upgrade. Now, me, as much as I love technology and how much stuff updates and things and learning about it, I'm not one that's going to buy the latest new thing as soon as it drops. I still have the old iPhone. I don't buy new stuff as soon as it drops. I never do that. Unless there's like a really good reason to upgrade and update. I upgrade when I need to, and especially if it's going to help in certain areas and I absolutely have to do it. That's when I go out and give an upgrade about something. But I don't just go out and out of impulse and just buy this. I already have a PS5. The Pro isn't going to be good for my use cases, especially if it's what 250 more, however much more it is, 700, 450. Um yeah. So instead of it's about 250 $250 more for better graphics and about, he said the performance will look about twice as good. The performance is about twice as well. Now, mind you, the graphics looks amazing. Some people might not be able to tell a difference, but I don't think it's $250 worth of a difference to go out and splurge and upgrade your console. Like I said, if you don't have a PS5, you may consider it because you already don't have one, so you want to have the better PlayStation. If that's what you want to do, go out and do what you want. As far as performance goes, if you're not making money in COD, and maybe that's something, I feel like they didn't do this justice because they didn't show this with any competitive games, really, besides the Forza, the driving game. I know how that can get competitive at times, but besides that, they didn't show this with any games that are competitive, especially if you're trying to show off performance rates. Story mode games, making them look more beautiful, I can understand, but it would never be worth $250 to play Last of Us, which has been out for years, no matter how amazing the game is, to play it while it looks better and performs slightly better as well too. Now for COD, like a game I play a lot, COD, other sport games, things like that. Hey, if you need to get a pro to compete with these people, you just might consider that you're trash because this isn't going to help you. I'm sorry. No offense to anybody who sucks at competitive games, but it's not going to give you the handicap that it needs. Now, if you're making money out of certain video games and you're really competitive out of it, I can understand YouTubers, other people who do competitive stuff. Like they showed For Honor. For Honor is quite competitive. There's certain stuff where if you had better performance, you would win some 1v1 matches and stuff. I've done 1v1 duels. I was actually pretty decent at it as well when I was playing the game. I was pretty good at it. Pretty good at it. And if I had a little bit better performance, especially better internet and things like that, that it could be helpful, especially if I'm trying to make money out of it and the money I'm going to recoup the money back. It would be good to have that. But if you're not in that kind of realm of competitive playing, and then it's not worth it as well anyways. It's nice of them to come out with this and things, but you're really not going to tell the differences in a lot of this stuff. Like, I bet you the common player doesn't even understand. Like, you could tell the little bit detail stuff better, especially in the back. You can tell all these extra details and how much cleaner it looks, the performance being better. Like, you could tell it, but the average person does not need to upgrade to the Pro here. Like, we're just looking at all these different snapshots. Like, yes, this looks so much better. And this is why I said they didn't do justice here, because the performance thing they showed is on Spider-Man. So, I would say it's not a cop instantly. The PS6 is going to come out eventually. It gives you a little bit of leeway, but is it really that much better? Probably not. If you don't have the PlayStation already, go get the new gen console, do what you want to do. But that's just what I'm thinking. That's my take on the new PS5 Pro. I started off with PlayStation consoles growing up, the PS2. That was the first console I've ever played on. I played Xbox and for a certain amount of time as well. And I'm back at PlayStation and it's been doing me justice. The one thing that I would have liked to see instead of this performance stuff is, does it include more storage? Because for my console, the biggest pain I have in my console is it not containing enough storage inside of it, now I have to go on Amazon to buy a new piece to screw into my console so that I have more storage in my console. Like, if I'm paying $250 extra, I want to have more storage because as well. Because I'm already paying extra to have more storage in my console, and I'm sure a bunch of people are doing that because my friends have to do that. I can't tell you, almost every single one of my friends has paid for extra storage to install into their console. Why didn't you show me that? That's what I wanted to see. Well, without further ado, let me guys know what your thoughts are about the PS5 Pro. Will you cop it? Will you not? Will you wait for the PS6? Let me know how you're feeling. Besides that, thank you for hanging out with me for another video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.